I want to walk through some numbers with you in Jobber. I am getting more customers in. I'm converting more customers, 15% from last January to this January. Letting you know that you're gonna have good years and bad years. Ride the high, man. Things are going real good. Don't get lazy. What's up, Scoop Podcast? I'm your host, Erica Kruppen, and on today's episode, I want to do a reflection from this time last year, fast forward to today. I hope you and your family had a wonderful, relaxing Easter. So I thank you for hanging out with me. Now, I know I talk a lot about, you guys know, I just keep it real with you guys. This is a very transparent podcast and YouTube channel. Sometimes I do wonder why I'm so transparent. I wonder if it's going to eventually bite me in the butt one day. I wonder if somebody is going to use this against me. I don't know. Sometimes I do think about that, but it's few and far between that I think about those things. But I have had some conversations with some people that I know and some friends of mine, and sometimes I have gotten teased because I am so transparent with my revenue dollar amount, and there are people that have started in business after me that are doing as much revenue as me or more, and at a point, I started to feel a little bit insecure about that, and a part of me wanted to kind of start shutting down and not really discuss what's going on behind the scenes because I started to get embarrassed of where my business was. And that's where I was last year. I was very, very incredibly embarrassed of where my business was because it was a mess. I was really struggling. Like I am right now with my microphone. Let me readjust my microphone. Hold on a second. I had become incredibly embarrassed of where my business was, revenue-wise, size-wise, mistakes that I was making in my business. It was a really tough year. And if you guys have been listening to the podcast, like I said, I had been probably more transparent than I probably should. But I caught myself wanting to shut down and not really share that stuff with you guys as much as I should. But if I really think about what the purpose of this podcast and my YouTube channel is and what it is that I am doing here, me shutting down is not serving that better purpose. Me expressing to you, letting you know that you're going to have good years and bad years is very important because I do feel that on social media, a lot of people put the highlight reel out, just in general. I mean, I know you're scrolling on social media, you're going through shorts and you see the people that are like, watch this video to 10x your business, and I made $1 million this year, listen how. Those are all great, that's clickbait. They might have made $1 million, but are they really gonna tell you all of the bad stuff that has happened throughout the business? I'm not perfect. Sometimes I wish I was, but I'm absolutely not. What I want to do is I want to walk through some numbers with you in Jobber. I want to explain to you why the business did so poorly last year and get this off of my chest so I can move on with my life. Basically, what I want to do is I want to talk about last year's low point. In January, I had a vehicle that was totaled out. It was a partially wrapped vehicle. That car got completely totaled. From there, I said, oh no, I need to get another vehicle because we're going into spring rush. And I had money put aside, but that was going to be my money for marketing. So I didn't want to take my marketing money and go buy a vehicle cash. So I went ahead and got another loan. At this time, I didn't quite understand the significance of the interest rate and how that was going to affect my payment. And I wasn't really paying attention to how much I was paying long term for this vehicle because I was like, all right, whatever, $500, $600, $700, $800. Actually, I think the payment was like $700. I'm like, it's fine. $700 payment, it's fine. I need another vehicle to keep it moving. It's better than having to go fork out, $5,000, $10,000 of this money that I have set aside coming out of winter, because coming out of winter, it's always kind of tough because you never know how the winter is going to go. Very hit or miss. The winter was okay. We weren't thriving. We were surviving-ish. We were doing listen, we weren't going on fancy trips. I made the decision to get another vehicle loan to replace the other one. And because of like how everything played out, I still had to pay on that other loan for a little bit until they paid it off. So I was paying 3 loans. And then the next vehicle accident happened, which was in July. But there was a period of time before that, which was spring rush. I was getting ready to go drop money into spring rush, into advertisements, and I didn't know how to do paid advertisement. I was boosting posts, I was running some paid advertisements, but I didn't have things set up right on the back end. So even though I was getting messages, like I wasn't responding back to those people quick enough. So any leads, any engagement, anything that was going on through Facebook, I was basically just wasting my time. And I had a meeting with Cycle CPA, because that is actually who's doing my books now, which is allowing me to have more educated data on where it is that I'm spending my money and what's going on. He's like, you're spending too much money and you're not getting the customers. I didn't have a proper follow-up process. I hadn't developed a lead process, because when I first got started, there wasn't a lot of competition. And changes the market. It is very, very true. When people would come to me, there really wasn't anybody else to go to. There was a couple other companies, but they were already full. I had lower rates, so I was getting a ton of approvals. I grew my business very quickly. And I had like 1 or 2 staff members. I never got over that. I don't think I've ever had more than 3 staff members at one time, because then all heck breaks loose and then something happens. I have like my threshold, just like I've had my threshold with my revenue. And I really think that that comes back to skill sets with managing people, investing into people, and stress management. I wasn't good at any of those at that level. So spring rush happens. We do okay. I'm going to give you some numbers here soon, because I'm looking at Jobber. If you guys don't have a CRM and you are interested in getting one, this is a customer relations management software. This is how I track basically my numbers. I do all my routing, my invoicing, my customer communication, all in the software. And it shows past data and actually has graphs. So during spring rush, I had a part-time scooper. I had myself. I want to say my husband, he wasn't able to help me as much as he normally does. He was able to help me a lot this year, because he was laid off a lot longer this year than he was last year. Because last year he got hit with, there was an ice storm in February, and because of that, kicked off the tree service. So he was back to work. He was living his best life. I was left in the dust. I had my one part-timer, and then I had my full-time scooper. Well, even though she was full-time, she was still able to take on spring cleans until she got sick. She ended up getting ill and was down for, I want to say it was a couple weeks, definitely a full week, but maybe 2 weeks. And that forced me to have to go back into the field. Well, with me being back in the field, doing her houses, that slowed down any spring cleans that needed to be done, any office work that needed to be done, anything that needed to be tightened up behind the scenes to fix issues and holes, because every year I feel like something breaks, there's an issue, things change. Even though I was working with my virtual assistants, it wasn't crisp, it wasn't clean, it wasn't streamlined as it should be. And I was like newer working with them still, like we were still trying to get things figured out. So it went okay. I can't say that I absolutely loved it, but last year in January, we were bringing in $17,500. This January, 15% from last January to this January. And now January is usually one of our lowest income months, because people drop off through the winter, and then this is when we're going to start gearing up again, because people cut costs around the holidays a lot of times, and right after cards get declined after Christmas. It's pretty common, right? January is a pretty low month for me just in general. So it was at 17,500 the year before, and then dropped down to 14. So this really was kicking off a downward trajectory for my business. Okay, I didn't know it yet, but it was about to be one of my toughest years in business. February happens. All right, February 2024. We're at 19,600. So we're doing a little bit better in February. We had that ice storm, and then I want to say that it melted and we got back to work. Usually March for us is when spring rush starts to kick off. So we did $23,300 last year in March. Spring rush wasn't the best because not only did I not have my husband, I didn't hire, and I wasn't putting money into advertising because I didn't have my other staff member. And so everything was bottlenecked, okay? There were just a bunch of bad decisions, lack of decisions, stress going on, which caused it to be a not so great year or not so great month. This March of 2025, I brought in 31,000. So I'm up 33%. Oh, I should be doing a screen share. That would actually be really, really nice. So fast forward to April. So that's the month that we're at right now. Last year, I brought in a 21,900. This month so far, and today is the 18th, we're at 19,300. So we're down 12% right now, but we still have a nice chunk of the month left over. So I'm not super worried about it. We're gonna surpass that. So I'm definitely doing better this year than I was last year. And I'm just gonna run through these other numbers. May, we got down, we were at 20,300. June went to 18,300. July went to 17,700. Then we went down to 17,000. Then we went down into the 16,000. We went down into the 15,000. November was my lowest revenue month. I dropped down to $13,000 a month. And then in December, I jumped up into 14. So I jumped up. And then coming over into this year, I jumped up. I stayed in at 14,000. I was just on a downward. Mentally, I was going down. The accident happened in July. I had to let the scooper go. I wasn't putting any more money into advertisement because I wanted to shut the business down. I was embarrassed where my business was. I was internally freaking out. I wanted to give my business away. I literally wanted to shut down, you guys. And the only reason why I'm sharing this information with you is because you might really go through this in your business, and you might feel like you are so alone. You will feel like you are such a failure, okay? And I was talking to William, and I felt like such a failure. I had all of this information at my disposal from all the resources and all the people that I can talk to, but yet I couldn't, my head just wasn't right. My head was not in a right place because I couldn't think straight of what I actually wanted to do with my business because I was just so upset. And I had to work Lord, did I need to work through those emotions. That was crazy. And I'm so happy that I quit drinking alcohol and I was able to stay sober through all of that because that would have just been an absolute nightmare. On top of it, I got another loan. I had the gap insurance. So I was paying on 3 vehicles. I was paying on that gap insurance vehicle for 5 months. And then in the midst of that, I decided to get an office because before that next accident happened, I had my main scooper. I had the money for advertisement. I was going to go sink this money into advertisement. So I wanted to grow, and then I wanted to have an office. If you've listened to the episodes before, nobody came to the office. The office, essentially at the end of the day, it was a waste of money, but I still utilized it and it was a good experience. But I decided after looking at all of the data and looking at my numbers and talking with Cycle CPA, we pulled out of there when the lease was up. I decided to get rid of my virtual assistant because I am able to come back into the office, streamline things, and clean things up on the back end. Because last year, I put my business on autopilot. Was it the right thing to do? I don't know, probably not, but it is what it is. It's what I did. I can't go back. All I can do is clean up the things that need to be cleaned up. So what I did differently is I hired an ads manager. I hired somebody to actually take care of my ads. Because I was able to do this, as you know, my numbers were quite low. They were quite low. But I decided last year that I knew it was going to be a really tough winter. So I didn't collect a paycheck. I did not collect a paycheck from the business since July of last year. Any little bit of money that I was able to put away, that's what I was doing. I was putting that money away in preparation to get through the winter, to get to spring rush, to make sure that I had money to sink into advertisement. And I started thinking about this back in July. So my husband and I, we had to make a lot of sacrifices. We had to cut out a lot of things. For those of you that have been watching the video, I haven't been getting my nails done. My toes are horrendous. I decided to not get my Botox because that's like $500 and something every single time I go. My nails are probably $100 every time I go, between toes and nails and tip, and then a little snacky after. I just decided that I needed to cut out things that I couldn't cut out. But I will say that my husband is ready to sponsor my nails and my toes. He did say the other day, he said that I'm gonna have to get those done. Which I'm okay with that. You know, treat yourself a little bit. But anyways, I did that in preparation because I really wanted to have a strong spring rush, because I decided, I was like, you know what? You can't give up on this business, Erica. You can't give up on Charles. You can't give up on yourself. You can't give up on the community that you're building. You are in this hole right now, but you don't have to stay here. You can dig yourself out. So I started to ask for help. I started to ask for help from Charles. I stopped feeling guilty about being like, hey, you want to work more? Yes, he wanted to work more. He wanted to work on Saturdays. I am using Mark for my ads, and so I've been asking him questions, and he's been educating me. Cycle CPA, I've been asking them questions about, you know, how much I can pay my staff, how much can I pay myself, can I hire a new person, how much money can I sink into advertisement, and I'm putting more into advertisement. That's a little bit, it is uncomfortable, but having said that, let's talk about this. So from this time to last year, I am up 250% with new leads. 250%. I had 639 leads that came in this year so far. New requests, I'm up 153%. 524 new requests. I sent out 494 quotes, so I'm up 73%. New jobs is 237, so I am up 37%. And so far this year, I have invoiced $81,900 as of today. And today is the 18th, okay? And I'm happy that I'm able to see this. I'm happy that I'm seeing the fact that the advertising is paying off. I am getting more customers in. I'm converting more customers over to reoccurring. That was another thing that I didn't do very good, because I was just so tired and I was so burnt out between running the business and still trying to run social media, that I wasn't developing the sales process. I wasn't developing relationships with the people. I wasn't reaching out to past customers to see if they needed a spring clean or if they wanted to get back on schedule. I didn't take the time when people would come in for one-time cleans to be like, hey, I know you want this one-time clean, but if you decide to sign up for a recurring service, you can get a discounted rate. I didn't have any of that built out, templated, or streamlined. This year, I built that out in Jobber. I have the templates. I had the discount already ready. I'll give you the initial clean for $79.99 if you want to sign up for recurring service. And then when somebody wants bi-weekly, I always send a weekly quote or a weekly line item over to them so they can see that there's only a $10 price difference. And then I say, hey, I sent you over a couple different prices for weekly and bi-weekly. And then in little quotations, I say weekly is the best value. Please let me know which one you choose. So essentially, I have slowed down. So I'm able to invest more time into actually getting the customers to convert and understand why they're not converting. My prices got too high for the areas where my customers are. I was trying to move to a richer area because in my mind I was like, I will be able to get more money out there, but I didn't understand these properties are larger. These people don't work as much, so they're home. They're taking care of their properties. They are walking their dogs. They're just not using the service like our ideal customer. Mom and dad are both busy. Kids are in school and in sports. They got a couple dogs. They don't have a bunch of time. But if you price it right to where they're like, I will pay this money to get some more time back, you're going to pick up customers left and right. I scheduled 3 initial cleans today. Overnight while I was sleeping, 3 people submitted requests and I got 3 new customers. In the month of December, I don't think I picked up 1 customer. November, I barely picked up any customers. I would have to go back and look through all that. And I really attribute all of that to signing up with Psycho CPA, taking the time to look in my reports with Jobber, reaching out to Mark and having him set up my ads for Google and for Facebook, reducing my costs and being more forward thinking with where I want this business to go, asking for help, and making the change to my prices to know that I priced them too high for the market. I get it. So I simplified my pricing because our area is so densely populated that I will be able to get high volume. I'm finally starting to get to the point now where I'm starting to get like 1 to 2 to 3 houses on a street, which is really nice. And I'm hoping that this time next year, I will have maybe 4 or 5 houses on the same street where we're just like boom, 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 boom. And this all can kind of like compound on top of each other. That's truly what I'm hoping for. And pricing properly is right. I know I get a lot of questions. People are like, oh, how do I price? Where should I set my prices at? And I can give you my pricing. I could tell you exactly what I price. 1/8 of an acre or less, 1 to 4 dogs is priced at $120 per month flat rate. I flat rated my prices and I do wiggle between that. If it is a really tiny yard and the dog's on a lead and it's a small dog, I'll drop it down to $100. I'll do that per month. If it's every other week, same scenario, 1 to 4 dogs, 1/8 of an acre or less, it's $100 a month. For my area, that is digestible and within people's budgets, and they don't feel like they're being robbed. They feel good about it. I feel good about it. Because if I can get $120 per customer and each full-time technician is running between 125 and 130 houses per week, let's do the math. What are we looking at for that? So if we're at 125, let's just say 120 times 125, we're bringing it, that scooper, that technician is bringing in $15,000 a month, and we times that by 12. So they're bringing in $180,000 just off recurring services. That's not talking about like the initial cleans or one-time cleans that come on. That's darn good with 1 technician. That is darn good. Okay, and I'm okay with that. Could it be better? Possibly. I've had my prices higher, but it was taking a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of effort to get them to convert, and then they would convert for a little bit and they would just say like, I can't afford this. It's too much outside my comfort level. So I was listening to my customers and just making the changes. I'm still gonna do a price increase at the end of the year. I'm still gonna bump the prices up like I do every single year. And then I will listen to the market again to see if they're pushing back too much and if I'm getting a bunch of cancellations. You have to listen to what your customers are saying. And if you turn a blind eye to them, then you're gonna have situations like I had last year where I was just like, la la, I don't know what's going on, I don't care. So what's on the agenda for this year, okay? We're still going to keep pumping money into marketing. We're going to keep adjusting and seeing what's working. Mark's going to take care of that for me. Charles is still working full time. I have well over 150 applications that I'm going to go through. And I'm going to I am going to hire, I am going to get somebody in, because I almost caught myself when the last scooper, the one that silently quit on me a week ago, when he did that, I was like, it's fine. I'll just go out there and I'll just scoop. I'll be out there working. I had to stop myself. I was on the toilet using the bathroom. And I was like, no, Erica, that's the mindset that you had last year, and you got yourself into the hamster wheel. That's not pushing the business forward. You need to pay somebody what you pay them to go out there and scoop, while you can work on moving the business forward. Because when I let Crystal go, before I hired Charles, I went back out in the field, and then I blew two discs out in my back because I had started working out. I didn't know what I was doing, and I herniated 2 discs. And then I had to let a whole service area go because I couldn't move quick enough to be able to service all the houses that needed to be serviced. So I let a whole service area go. And I didn't sell them. I gave them to another company because I didn't have the bandwidth to even go out and sell it. I was like, you can just have these. Here's the information. And I did it pretty abruptly. And I do have a customer that's she's so irate with me. That's another topic for another time, but she's very upset. I will say that. So I'm going to be going through all those applications. We're going to get a new scooper. We're going to get a new technician in. We're going to get them trained up really good, so then I can keep on working with Mark and keep putting money into advertising to keep building up that route. Because I have Charles, he's running a full route, and I'm running just like a super partial route, and we're bringing in almost $20,000 just between what we got going on. I don't exactly know how much he's producing every month with, I'll have to figure that out later. But if I add another full-time technician, the business was bringing in $250,000 last year. And if I add another full-time technician, we're definitely going to hit over that $300,000. And that's what my goal is I want to hit over $300,000 in sales this year, and keep expanding and keep growing it. I did purchase a new truck, but it's no payment. I purchased it cash, and we're making better choices. I'm not going to get loans and liens on the vehicles until maybe the business gets much larger, and then I have more money to throw around. But right now I need to keep it lean, and I need to keep it tight. I've already invested into the brand, so I don't have to do that anymore. I have purchased a ton of marketing material. I did all of that last year. I will do that in the extra time. We'll put some door hangers out. We'll put some yard signs out. We're going to do community events, but that isn't going to be our main form of advertisement. My main form of advertisement is paid ads on Google and in Facebook, while still creating our organic content to push the other content, using keywords, showing what we do to be able to provide value. I also stopped really creating content for my business page because my media company has taken up a lot of the time, because I've been building that out behind the scenes. And I have been doing a darn good job. I have 3 people on my, 3 people? I have 2 people on my team that helps me with production. I have my VA and I have Mr. Producer. And if any of you guys are looking, anybody that's serious, if you're serious, looking for some, if you have a podcast a podcast and you're looking for audio work, I can get you in touch with Mr. Producer, but don't be wasting his time. He's a very busy man, but he does really, really good work, and I'm very happy to have him on my team. And then May has taken a ton off my plate with social media, so I can focus on creating content for you guys and more dedicated content. And she's even been helping me with, like, sometimes I get a little bit insecure about some things that I record, and she gives me feedback. Because even the most confident people, I am fairly confident. I have my moments of not very confident. I still need somebody to pour into me because I pour into so many other people. And May and Mr. Producer have been very, very good at that, and they've allowed me to lean on them, and I truly appreciate it. And I also think that building a good network around yourself is also very important, because that's another reason of how I was able to make it through a very low year. Also, Jesus, my Lord and Savior, helped me because I was in a low. I was feeling this big and just almost like, how can I even create content for you guys when I feel like my business is failing? My business wasn't failing, it wasn't doing hot, but it was definitely a year that taught me a lot. So there's that. And then I'm going to be working on my leadership a lot better. I had started with my last staff member, the one that silently quit. It hurt my feelings that he quit because I felt like I was, doing what I needed to do, but I'm not going to allow that to stop me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep investing, and I'm going to keep building people up, because the events that I went to last year, every single company that was large doing multi-million dollars, it was because of their people, of how they invest in their people, how they grow their people, and they brought their team with them, and their team had so many good things to say about the company and how things were ran. So that was a huge eye-opener for me, that I can't do this all on my own. And if I really want to grow something that has an impact on their community, I got to invest in other people and not be scared to get hurt. Because that's something about me, you guys. I got some past trauma, and I don't like to get hurt, and so I build up walls around myself so I don't get hurt, and that's not good. That's not good either. And I'm going to take advantage of the momentum. You know how sometimes when things are going really good, here's an example. I go and I weigh in, and I have a really good weigh-in, and I'm like, great, I can't wait to go have a cheat meal. This is going to be so good. My husband, on the other hand, was like, I had a great weigh-in. Let's keep eating healthy. And I'm like, wait, no, don't you want to go eat something bad to reward yourself? And he was like, how does that make sense, Erica? So we just stare at each other. It doesn't make sense. I'm breaking momentum. That's the same thing with your business. Ride the high, man. Things are going real good. Don't get lazy. Erica, don't get lazy. Keep pushing through. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, is just keep pedal to the metal. But make sure I take some time for myself so I don't wear myself out. Woo, I've been talking for a long time. Holy smokes. I'm going to have to wrap this one up. So yeah, there was a transparent look into my numbers, into how the business was doing. I do hope that this brought you some value and gave you some insight. I'm a little bit ashamed that the business started to do such little revenue. 13,000. I haven't had a 13,000 something low like that in just a very long time, since the beginning years of my business, but it happened, and I don't want it to happen ever again. So I'm taking accountability and owning up to it. I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope that this has brought you some value and any bit of nuggets. I hope that you're able to take out of this, and hopefully you can bring that to your business and use it as like a cautionary tale or motivation. And just remember, this whole business entrepreneur thing, you're on a journey. It's going to have its ups and downs, and please don't beat yourself up if you're not super business minded, and you're not taking on the world, and you're not kicking butt every single day, because some days you do get your butt kicked. And just keep pushing through, because eventually, as you compound, you will become that awesome, bad butt, I'm really trying not to swear, business owner, where you're just like, I'm fierce and I'm thriving and I'm kicking butt and taking names, and I'm inspiring, and I'm able to help other people. At least that's what my goal is. So I appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I ask you, please do. It really helps the channel numbers. It helps the engagement. It helps everything. And it helps with the sponsors too, because the sponsors are what helps keep the lights on around here. So if you haven't checked out Jobber, go ahead and click the link down below. And if you are not a part of the Poop Scoop Millionaire community, click the link down below as well and check the community out. There's over 800 like-minded individuals within this community, people that you can lean on, people you can chat with that are in the same part of business as you, and people that are much further, so that you can get a well-rounded viewpoint from a lot of different business owners. If you have not purchased your ScoopCon tickets yet for 2025, that's going to be happening the 23rd and 24th of May in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I will be there. I will be a guest speaker. I would love if you would join me and many other industry leaders for ScoopCon. And there's a lot of call to actions. I'm asking you guys to do a lot of things. YouTube doesn't like that, but I want to give you options. Do all that. And then if you want to keep the party going, click one of the videos that are going to pop up here so you can hear more content. And if you're listening over on the podcast, then you can't click anything, but you could stop listening on the podcast and then go over to the YouTube channel. Bye, guys.